What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. This is episode 86, October 11. On a Friday is when I am recording this, a little bit later on in the week. And we're going to hopefully go over a little bit over last game, Packers win over the Rams, and then the upcoming game versus the Arizona Cardinals. Just get into that matchup as they go back-to-back games in the NFC West. So we'll get into those in a minute here. You can check out the polls on Spotify. On every episode, I have a poll out. You can also check out the link in the description of every episode on every platform, wherever you get the podcast. And you can send in a voice message. There's a link there, very easy to do. Send in a question or something and get your voice heard on the show. The show is available anywhere you get podcasts, with the exception of Amazon Music. The show is available in video form on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, and you can hit the bell on YouTube or Spotify to be notified when a new episode comes out. I try to get out an episode every week. You can tell your friends about the show. That's very helpful. You can also rate the show on Spotify. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That also is very helpful. You can follow me on social media at Cheeseheadz_weekly. On X, it is at Cheeseheadz_W. The heads portion, the final S is a Z instead of an S. You can also check out the website, greatcove.net/cheeseheadz, spelled the same way. And we'll get into today's episode. So the Packers did get a win over the Rams, who are now 1-4. Rough start to the year for them. 24-19. It was not what I would say a pretty performance by the Packers. Jordan Love, 15 for 26, 224 and 2 with an interception. His QB rating was 56.4. His passer rating was 95.7, which certainly isn't terrible, but he made some questionable decisions, one of which worked out very nicely. It turned into a 53-yard bomb to Jayden Reed that he threw into double coverage. And Jayden Reed just happened to get his hands up and make a great catch. But Tucker Kraft with a huge game, four receptions for 88 yards and a pair of touchdowns, including a 66-yarder. We'll talk about him in more detail. But, yeah, it was complimentary football was what Matt LaFleur said after the game. Certainly some mistakes in there, but the defense played well enough against the Rams, forced a few turnovers again, and that was the game. So we're going to go ahead and get into my players of the game, and then we'll kind of just go over some more storylines and go over the injuries, and then preview the Cards game coming up on Sunday. So, first of all, my players of the game on offense, number one is Tucker Kraft. This guy is the real deal. He has been a big time factor in this Packers offense and a huge piece. I think he is, and he's someone that wasn't there last season, so if they can get consistent other areas on the offense, Tucker Kraft is just going to help them, help push them over the edge, because he has been fantastic after the catch. And, he has been truly elite. And basically his goal is not let a DB tackle him in space, and that is what he does about every time. If you're a defensive back, Tucker Kraft is bigger than you, and he's going to make sure you know it, okay? He is an absolute monster to try to bring down in space, just shoving guys to the ground. And, had some great speed, too. He hit 19-some miles an hour on the 66-yarder. He was absolutely flying for a tight end, and he is not a small dude. What a player. what an asset. He's been great as a blocker all year long as well. He has turned into one of the great young tight ends in the NFL right now, and he truly is a very good tight end, and I'm fortunate enough to have him in one of my fantasy football leagues because he is breaking out in front of everyone here, and it's been quite fun to watch. Like I said, 4 for 88 and 2 touchdowns. It was a great game for Tucker Kraft, and I'm sure they're going to continue to get him involved more and more in the passing game after they saw that, especially since Luke Musgrave is also dealing with injury, which we will talk about a little bit later. Number 2 on offense is Jayden Reed. He's been on here quite a bit. Jayden Reed and Tucker Kraft have really been kind of the keys to the Packers' passing game and also the run game. In the case of Tucker Kraft, Jayden Reed also, I believe, has at least a carry in every single game. He did have 2 for 19 yards in this one. And that just helps keep defenses off balance a little bit, knowing that number 11 could be coming on an end around, and he runs tough for a guy of his stature. He was 4 for 78, had a catch of 53 yards that accounted for most of his production, but he continues to be very good and very reliable target for Jordan Love in this offense. And I will talk about a few other receivers here in a minute. I want to talk about Dontavian Wicks. But our third player on offense here is Josh Jacobs. He has quietly just been doing his thing. Nothing world-beating. He's just been doing what he's been asked to do. 19 carries, 73 yards, a touchdown. His first as a Packer. Took him long enough. Jordan Love just likes to take all the touchdowns from everyone. Passing touchdowns galore. And he did get a touchdown. Emmanuel Wilson was also efficient with his work as well, averaging 4 yards a carry, 6 for 24. Josh Jacobs only averaging 3.8 a carry, but he did what he needed to do, got the tough yards, and broke out some chunk gains when he needed to. Also had a 21-yard reception in the passing game as well, so you love to see that. On defense, number 1, and he's probably going to continue to be number 1 until he stops intercepting passes. This is Xavier McKinney, the best safety in the league, and there has been talk coming out of this game that he could be Defensive Player of the Year. I will talk about that a little bit, and I'm not going to really make a case for him or against him because, to be completely fair and honest, I have not been following what other, guys have been doing. Some guys have been saying, no, that belongs to TJ Watt. I haven't been watching TJ Watt, so I don't know what he's been doing. I'm sure he's been great. I know TJ Watt is great. But regardless, he definitely is in that conversation, and I think without a doubt he is the best safety in the league. 6 games in a row with an interception. Also recovered a fumble in this one as well. It was quite the game for Xavier McKinney. Kyron Williams was the one who fumbled it, I believe, in the red zone, getting close to the goal line, and McKinney was the one to pick it up right there. Shout out to Evan Williams as well. He is also in this list of my players of the game. He led the team in tackles with 10 total. Also broke up a pair of passes. He played Colby Parkinson, the Rams tight end, tough, and made him earn some. He, believe it or not, Parkinson was targeted more than anyone else on the team, 13 times. Finished with 7 receptions for 52. So Evan Williams got, I believe I saw he played every defensive snap, and this was really his first game really getting a whole lot of time at all, and he was out there a ton. Kind of a breakout game for him at safety, and I'm sure we're going to see him a lot more. I think the Packers are still shuffling around this secondary, not really sure how they're going to do everything with all the guys they have, but I'm sure they will figure it out, and they have plenty of talent there. They just have to put the right guys in the right positions to succeed, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. And my third defensive player of the game is Edgerrin Cooper, another rookie at linebacker. He looks like the team's best linebacker right now. He had 2 QB hits, 1 sack, and 5 total tackles. He has been very good as a blitzer, and I feel like the Packers have a lot of good blitzing linebackers. Quay Walker is good at blitzing as well. He's just not very consistent in other areas of the game, and Quay Walker did have a tackle for loss in this one, but Edgerrin Cooper was solid, got solid grades in coverage, and had a few run stops as well, I believe. So I think maybe if Quay Walker doesn't continue to develop like the Packers were hoping, maybe he ends up being Walker's replacement in a few years when Walker is a free agent, and he may not come back, and Cooper may be just the guy that takes his place. But certainly a good performance. He continues to earn more and more playing time as well, and it's good to see this rookie class getting some reps because they have a lot of talent, and it looks like Goody did a pretty good job with some of these rookies. They're already getting into the game and making a positive impact on the game. So, coming into this game, this happened during the week. I did not get a chance to talk about it on the show. Romeo Doubs skipped Thursday and Friday's practice with what was reported as a personal issue. It then came out per report by Bill Huber, who is a very reputable source, and he said that Romeo Doubs was a little bit unhappy with his usage or something to that effect. And so I was kind of the opinion some Packers fans were overreacting and say, oh, trade him. He's getting unhappy. We already got problems, which I admit I don't like to hear that, that we got guys, unhappy with how they're being used. That was the beauty of this great young receiving group. The fact that they were able to work together and just take whatever they're given. So I wasn't really happy, and Romeo Doubs, I'm a big fan of, didn't really think that would be something that would happen to him, and I don't know, maybe he was unhappy with Wick's usage over him whenever Watson was taken out of got hurt, I guess. And so regardless, the Packers suspended him for that game against the Rams, which was played in his hometown. So Doubs, got suspended. Kind of similar situation to Jair Alexander. And it seems like so far he has responded well. He's been back at practice the last 2 days. Christian Watson also back at practice. So something to monitor. But I think he's going to be out there. Teammates and coaches still speak highly of him and are welcoming him back for weeks to come, and hopefully he'll learn from that situation and continue to be a good part of this team. But I like what the team's doing. They're trying to build a winning culture and trying to compete for a title this year. And you can't have guys that are inhibiting that. This is a team sport after all. And so I like their no-nonsense approach that, hey, if you're not going to, cooperate, be a team player, and, I know they don't have anything against Doubs, and I don't have anything against Doubs, but, if he's not going to be willing to, play that, be a part of that winning culture, a team player, and contribute in a positive way, whether he is getting 10 targets every game, then we don't need you. You gotta keep the team together. And so I really like the Packers' approach with dealing with that situation and the Alexander situation last year. Just, hey, you can sit out this game, and figure it out, and we'll welcome you back, but we don't want any of this getting in our way from, winning football games and getting ultimately to a Super Bowl, which is their goal. So I really, commend the Packers, Packers brass, coaching staff, organization for what they're doing, and hopefully Doubs will be back and he'll learn from that, and we'll continue rolling on and hopefully win some more games. As far as injuries, there have been quite a few injuries. And I will just see if I can find the injury report here. Maybe I should look elsewhere. Well, let's just talk. I just want to talk about the secondary here real quick. Obviously, Javon Bullard has been a part of this defense. I'm not sure exactly what his snap share has been, but I believe he's been playing a lot, and mostly as the safety alongside Xavier McKinney. Evan Williams kind of got the start at safety, I would say, and Bullard was playing more in the slot, and Keyshawn Nixon they were experimenting with him on the outside with Jair Alexander out, and they wanted to get Valentine in the game. They also got Keyshawn Nixon out there as well. Valentine was returning from injury, and so they had Nixon and Valentine and Stokes rotating around in the outside. And that brings me to Eric Stokes. He really has not been the same as his rookie year. He has not been a very good player at all. Not only for the Packers, but in the NFL, among other cornerbacks, he has not been great. He has allowed the 18th most receiving yards in the NFL, and out of 110 corners who played at least 50 coverage snaps, his passer rating against is tied for the 19th highest per Pro Football Focus, and he has not broken up a single pass this season. Despite being targeted 28 times, he has allowed 2 touchdowns, tied for most on the Packers team. Not sure who else has 2. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Keyshawn Nixon or someone. I know Keyshawn has allowed at least 1 that I can think of. Really his calling card is his speed and his ball skills, and that he really flashed both those things as a rookie. He has not, this was kind of a mind-blowing stat, but he has not even gotten his hands on a single pass in 492 coverage snaps since his rookie season, including playoffs. So basically, in every single game he's played, every snap he's played since that rookie season, which was pretty solid, since then he has not looked very good, and he has not broken up a pass at all in all of those snaps, and that is a lot of snaps there. Obviously, he struggled with injury, and he does not seem to be the same since suffering those injuries. And now, of course, you add Javon Bullard, who has been very good. He's versatile. He can play in the slot. You also have Evan Williams, who kind of broke out and showed his potential in this game at safety. So maybe they were experimenting with Keyshawn on the outside. I don't know. Keyshawn has not been bad as a slot corner. I'm not sure who the Packers would consider to be better at the slot corner position. To me, it's kind of a toss-up, but I do kind of want Javon Bullard on the field. And if Javon Bullard's on the field, you get Jair Alexander back. I think he's nearing a return. He's been back at practice. Could be back, either this week or next week. And then once he's back, maybe it ends up being Stokes that's the odd man out. He beat out Carrington Valentine for the number 2 corner job during the summer, has not done a whole lot to retain that job, and Packers again looking to win football games. Hafley has shown he's willing to make changes, as was shown in this game. Did some experimenting, had Evan Williams in all game long, and so maybe what you do, You rotate Javon Bullard and Keyshawn in the slot. You have Evan Williams, or maybe you rotate Evan Williams and Javon Bullard at safety, either way, and have Keyshawn in the slot, something like that. Either way, they're going to need to get Evan Williams some more snaps, and I really want Javon Bullard on the field as well. And then then maybe it's just Jair Alexander and it's Carrington Valentine, and Stokes is just the guy on the bench that fills in for, injuries. He's not bad in that regard as a number 3, number 4 corner, but he has not looked the part, and, I feel for him. I was, really high on him, really wanted him to perform this season, and so far that's not been the case. Still could be eventually, but it's not looking great to start the year, and so we'll see what happens with the secondary. But yeah, the defense still has plenty of things to figure out. They've been kind of inconsistent. They've allowed plenty of big plays and good drives, and then, they'll have a big turnover. Xavier McKinney out there picking off passes. Really, the pass rush has not been there either. Rashawn Gary is another topic. I think I talked about him a little bit last year, but he has to be better. He did not step up really at all against the Rams, and really the Packers have only been effective coming on blitzes. And, the guys with the most sacks on the team are probably like Devontae Wyatt, who's been good as a pass rusher this year, and then, Kingsley Enagbare had a pretty good game. Really, they don't have any guy that's really racking up sacks. Kenny Clark has not been great either, off to a rough start. These are two premier, really good players that are off to slow starts to this season. Hopefully they get it together, but you kind of got to prepare for whatever, and really they've only been able to get home on blitzes, and it's been Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker and Keyshawn Nixon getting sacks. So, and of course that leaves you open to the big play, which has, bitten the Packers a little bit as well. So we'll see what happens there. Xavier McKinney looks like the only guy that's really locked and loaded, great player on this defense, along with some of, the rookies that have really flashed. Like, I really like Cooper and Williams and Bullard. And I would say Devontae Wyatt has been pretty good as well. He is dealing with an ankle injury, though, at the moment. Speaking of McKinney, he was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week in Week 5 with the fumble recovery and the interception. Both of the takeaways led to touchdowns, helping the Packers erase a 13-10 halftime deficit and take a commanding 24-13 lead in the second half, which ended up being enough to win the game. Kingsley Enagbare did force that fumble. I believe he also had a sack in the game, and he's been as advertised or better. He has been quite the player for the Packers defense. Packers fans are loving having him around. Tucker Kraft was added to the injury report as far as on. So let me just bring up the Wednesday injury report if I can find it here really quick. I'll just look it up. But Tucker Kraft was added to the injury report on Thursday. They have had a little bit of... They have a fair amount of injuries. Not a whole lot of new injuries, I don't think. Kenny Clark dealing with a lingering toe injury. He was limited both days. Jair Alexander returned to practice, was limited both days. Edgerrin Cooper continues to deal with a hip injury. He was limited both days. He's been playing. Same with Clark. Elton Jenkins with a knee injury, limited as well. I expect him to play. Jordan Morgan could make his return. He's been limited both days. The only two changes in the injury report from Wednesday was Luke Musgrave going from limited to not participating. There was a video on Twitter showing him running around and catching a pass, and towards the end, he was hopping on one leg. Didn't look real comfortable on the ankle, and Now it looks like he's headed to injured reserve. The Packers signed tight end John Fitzgerald from, I believe, the Falcons practice squad. So he's on their active roster, and I expect the move to be Musgrave heading to IR. So that's not great for him, and he had a rough start to the season to begin with. Now he's dealing with an injury, but Tucker Kraft has stepped up, and hopefully Ben Sims can also step up. Tucker Kraft spoke to the media and says he has full confidence in Ben Sims, and, feels bad that Luke has to go through that injury, but that's the game, and it's the next man up mentality for the Packers. And we have Carrington Valentine limited in both practice. He did play last game. Christian Watson, this is a big one, returned to practice this week already. I would say a little bit sooner than I expected. I expected him to maybe, come back to practice next week or maybe late this week, but he was back on Wednesday, and so something to monitor there. He certainly could play. Devontae Wyatt is the only one who missed both practices, so it looks like he's trending toward not playing. And that would be a big loss because he has been probably the Packers' best interior lineman so far this year over Kenny Clark. And so TJ Slayton has been solid, I think, too. But, yeah, we've seen some good things from Devontae Wyatt. As far as the Cardinals injury report, Darius Robinson was limited on Wednesday and did not practice on Thursday, defensive lineman, with a calf injury, so that's something to monitor there. Everyone else practiced on Thursday in at least limited fashion. But we, on Wednesday, Kelvin Beachum, offensive tackle, has a hamstring injury. He didn't practice Wednesday. He is practicing Thursday. I'm not sure if he'll play. Not sure about Robinson. All the rest on this look like they're in line to play. Have at least been practicing. So yeah, Packers injury report, fairly lengthy, but they have players that look like they could be ready to make their returns. It looks like the Tucker Kraft injury, he was added with a groin injury, limited practice. It doesn't seem like he's in danger of missing a game. If I know Tucker Kraft, he's not going to want to miss a game. So, and then I already talked a little bit about Kinney for Defensive Player of the Year. Like I said, I can't get into it a whole lot. I'll just say that he's really good. Looks like the best safety in the league. He has not allowed anything into his coverage. He has been locked tight, and, quite frankly, quarterbacks have not even been targeting him, because when they do, he picks off the pass. Even when the target, even when they're not specifically targeting him, he just reads the quarterback so well, and you put a little bit too much air under the ball, and he'll get over there and make the play. Just the instincts of this guy. He's not supremely athletic, but he's so smart as a football player, and that's, Packers can really use that. Overall, this wasn't a huge win. It's a step in the right direction, obviously, and hopefully we can get a win versus the Cardinals. The main issue has been inconsistency, kind of. It looks a little bit like, I would say we're better than the start of last year, but certainly some of the things look a little bit the same, with all the inconsistency and everything. So that's something to monitor on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I expect it to get better, but hopefully, we get a little bit more consistent, I think the offense especially will be fine. I'm not totally sold on the defense yet, but they have flashed as well, so we'll see what happens. So looking at the Cardinals here, I guess I should see what their record is. It looks like they are 2-3. The Packers are 3-2. The Cardinals will travel to Green Bay to play the Packers. It will be Sunday at 1 o'clock on Fox. Packers, looks like they are 5-point favorites in this one at home. So they're the favorites. Really, the Cardinals' offense has been pretty good. their defense has not been good, and that's kind of what's hindered them. But yeah, as far as offense, they are 12th in points per game, 14th in yards per game, 10th in points per play, 9th in yards per play, 9th in red zone scoring percentage. So that's kind of what they've been best at. Number 20 in fourth down conversion percentage. That's kind of what their worst rank is as far as offensive stats. As far as their defense, they've done the best at stopping opponents on fourth down conversion percentage with the opponents is number 14, number 17 as far as opponent red zone scoring percentage. But they're number 27 in points per game, number 25 in yards per game, number 30 in third down conversion percentage. So yeah, their defense, probably bottom third in the league. They have been, just really quickly, their rushing offense has been very good for them. Not a ton of rushing touchdowns per game. They've been middle of the pack there, but number 3 in yards per rush, 5.5. Packers are number 5 at 5.2. And they run the ball a fair amount, 48.62% of the time. That ranks number 10 in the league. Excuse me. Packers offense has been better in some areas. I would say probably most areas, I guess. As far as points per game, they rank number 9. That is better than the Cardinals. Number 4 in yards per game. They're, as evidenced by the yards per game and not higher rank in yards per game than points per game. One of their lower, ranks is in categories is red zone scoring percentage, the number 18 there. Fourth down conversion percentage, they're number 25, which is not great. Number 20 in third down conversion percentage. Yards per play is number 4 as well. So they've been efficient, and they have got plenty of yards. As far as rush play percentage, they are even ahead of the Cardinals, 50.63% of the time. Of course, some of that comes in the Malik Willis games where they ran the ball nonstop. But still efficient with all that volume. Number 5, 5.2 yards a carry. And number 5 in rushes per game. Number 3 in rush yards per game. Rushing touchdowns per game, they're number 20 because they have not been scoring rushing touchdowns. They get down the red zone and throw the ball for touchdowns. Passing game has been a little bit up and down. Yards per pass is number 6, but they're also 3.38% in interceptions thrown. That's number 28. Their sack percentage is very good, number 5. But yeah, kind of up and down with all this, with the stats. Completion percentage is number 29. That's something interesting there. As far as the Cardinals, in the past game, the completion percentage is higher, number 10 there, actually. Yards per pass, number 19. Interceptions thrown, only 1.45%. Number 9, doing a good job protecting the football. They have been sacked at a higher rate. Maybe that'll be helpful for the Packers. Looking at the Packers' defense against the pass, sack percentage, this is what I want to look at. They've actually been number 10, which is kind of mind-boggling. I guess it's because of all the blitzing, because they've not really got a whole lot of production just from the regular, 4-man rush, 5-man rush. They've been better on blitzes, and they're still trying to get pressure that way, Hafley mixing things up, but it's annoying that he has to do that, and leave more open in the secondary, which he likes to blitz anyway, but maybe the fact that the pass rush isn't getting home is forcing him to blitz more. As far as rush defense, they've actually not been terrible this year. Their lowest rank is number 15 in opponent rushes per game, which is not anything that matters a whole lot. Allowing 4.4 yards a carry, that's their lowest, number 17. So that's not great, but I guess their offense does enough that opponents don't run on them a ton and have not gotten a ton of yards per game. They're number 11 there. As far as the defense overall, they're better than the Cardinals slightly, but I would say they're middle of the pack. They're not top 10 by any means, not even in any category. Their highest is number 13 in points per game and points per play, and opponent third down conversion percentage and fourth down conversion percentage. Defense, middle of the pack. Cardinals defense towards the bottom of the league. As far as offense, it seems like the Packers offense is, I don't know, I would say it's very close. Packers have a slightly better rushing offense, it looks like. Arizona has been very good at running the ball. Either way, I would put their offenses very close. Cardinals could be a little bit better on offense, and Green Bay has a better defense, so that means they should win, right? Hopefully that is the case, but hopefully that helps you out a little bit, helping you to get ready for this game. I, again, look for the pass rush to get better. I've not been really happy with the pass rush. Hopefully that gets better, and then consistency on offense. I want to see Jordan Love have a really good, complete game, not throw any picks, not be turning the ball over, and to play a clean game on offense and be efficient running the ball and throwing the ball, have more consistency there, and then also we want to see Xavier McKinney get his whatever it is, sixth in a row now interception. So that would be cool. I guess that'll about do it for me today on the show. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the support. And I'll talk to you after the Packers hopefully get the W versus the Cardinals. Game's at Lambeau, so should be a fun one. That's it for me. Go Pack, go.